Hey everyone, we are going to be using the ladder method again, but in this video we're going to be looking for the least common multiple instead of the greatest common factor. Alright, so besides problem solving, another use for least common multiple is when we have to convert fractions to like denominators. So least common multiple, the least common multiple of two numbers is the smallest number that is a multiple of both numbers. So greatest common factor was the biggest number that was a factor of both numbers. And that was a number that was equal to or less than the numbers we were looking at. This number is going to be equal to or greater than the numbers we're looking at. So a little bit the opposite of least and greatest. This is just kind of confusing there, but I think you'll see what we're talking about when we look at this example here. So we've listed multiples of 3 and we've listed multiples of 5. And we are going to pick the smallest number that is in the list of both multiples. Now we could keep going on and on forever listing the multiples of these numbers because we just keep multiplying. So as soon as we find one that's common to both in the list of multiples, we know we've got our number here. So notice that they have other numbers in common. For instance, I see 30 here in both of them, but we want the smallest number that's in both lists, all right? Okay, so again, I'm going to write the steps after we look at some examples here. Okay, so to find the least common multiple, we're going to start out just like we did when we were looking for the greatest common factor. Again, we want to know the smallest number that we can multiply both of these numbers by to get to it, all right? So same process. I'm going to look at my prime numbers. Remember, we start 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11 are our first few prime numbers. Both of these are even, so I know that they can divide by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. 3 and 4 don't have any other numbers in common that can divide evenly into them except for 1, and so we know we're done there. Now, remember, for greatest common factor, we just picked up the numbers that were on the side. So the greatest common factor of 6 and 8 is 2. But for least common multiple, we're going to take all of the numbers on the outside. And I like to think of it as that I'm making an L for least common factor. Least common multiple. So we're going to take all the numbers. Remember, I made an L here, every number that's on the outside, and multiply those together. So 2 times 3 times 4. So 3 times 4 is 12, times 2 is 24. So the least common multiple of 6 and 8 is 24. If I listed the multiples of 6 and the multiples of 8, the smallest one in that list that they both had in common would be 24. Okay, so let's write our steps in here. So to find the least common multiple of two numbers, we use that ladder method again. We write the two numbers next to each other, just like we did with greatest common factor. We draw the rung of the ladder under both numbers. We find the smallest prime number that will divide into both numbers. Again, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, try those. Then we keep adding ladder rungs and dividing until the numbers have no more common factors. Now this time though, this is where it changes, right? This is where it's different. With greatest common factor, we just multiplied the numbers along the side. But for least common multiple, we multiply the numbers along the side and the bottom of the ladder. All right, let's look at another example here, and then we'll look at a word problem. Okay, so 12 and 15, make my ladder rung, 12 and 15. I can divide 12 by 2, but I can't divide 15 by 2. So I go up to my next smallest prime, which is 3, and both of these divide by 3. So 3 divides into 12 4 times, and 3 divides into 15 5 times. I can't divide 4 and 5 by anything other than 1, so I know I'm done. I pick up the numbers on the side and on the bottom. Again, I like to think about the fact that I'm making an L because this is least common multiple. And so I'm going to multiply 3 times 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20, times 3 is 60. So the smallest number that will be a multiple that we could multiply 12 and 15 by some number to get to, the smallest would be 60. That will be a common multiple of both of them. Here's a situation where you might use least common multiple in a problem-solving setting. Hank is involved in lots of activities. He has soccer practice every 3 days and violin lessons every 4 days. On which day will Frank have his soccer practice and his violin lesson? When will they overlap? In other words, what's the least common multiple of 4 and 3? So we're going to put 4 here and 3 here. We're going to try to divide both of these by our smallest prime 2. That doesn't work. 3, that doesn't work. In fact, there's no number other than 1 that will divide into both of these, so we're done. So it's a 1 and a 4 and a 3, or you could just say it's 4 times 3, right? And so 12 is every 12th day, Hank will have to do both soccer and violin, all right? So every 12th day, he does both. Whoops, that's not a very good Y. Every 12th day, he does both. All right, so every 12th day, he goes to violin and soccer. All right, guys, this is using least common multiple to do some problem solving. Again, we use the ladder method to find our least common multiple. The only thing that's different is we take all of the numbers. We take the numbers on the side and on the bottom. I could write my 4 and my 3 here if you like to make our L there. All righty, go on to your practice after this.